Walk her down the valley, pack a piece of heaven for the bottoms of her feet. Teach her how to jump and how to stretch when she reach, like the angels do, and you gon' make it through now. Tell about the healer, greater is the one within her, call him as the leader. Teach her how to hold a pretty hand up to the sky, and never wait upon the giver, he'll deliver like a dealer. To take her higher.
What's up, everyone? It is me, daughter Courtney Gurley, out of Ossippi Court, number 186, Oasis of Valdosta, Desert of Georgia. And I know why everyone is here. Y'all are ready for the 50 Imperial Commandress. So we have from the desk of the 50th Imperial Commandress. Can someone please bring this beautiful lady up? Hello, Imperial Commandress.
Hi, daughter Gurley. Good evening.
Good
and
evening.
Happy New Year to each and every one of you.
Happy New Year. So I'm going to give the floor to you so you can tell us about the election process for the desert.
Okay, thank you so much, daughter Gurley. Because of the influx of the calls that I have received in the last few days in reference to upcoming desert planning meetings and some deserts conducting election at their planning meeting, I felt it was most appropriate that I address this domain prior to anyone holding an election at a planning meeting in the month of January and moving forward. Please note that elections for desert officers should not be happening at the desert planning meeting. Let me say that again. Election for desert officers should not be done at desert planning meetings. Election should be held at the gala day itself, whenever that gala day is, so you could allow people that are eligible or voting the opportunity to be there. Not everyone comes to a planning meeting, so election should be held at the gala day or desert conference meeting whenever that is established. So I'll wait for questions, but let me reiterate that there seems to be some confusion in the last constitution that we had for the daughters. And in that constitution, it stated that in reference for daughters in Article 6, Section 1, now let me go back. In Article 5, officers of the Imperial Court, Section 3, eligibility of officers of the Imperial Court is any actual past illustrious commandress who is in good standing in her constituent court, which is under the jurisdiction of this Imperial Court, and who is a contributing member thereof, is eligible to be elected to any office of this Imperial Court, except that of Imperial Commandress. And the reason I read that is because there seems to be a myth that the same rule applies for elections for desert officers. Election for desert officers, it states that, didn't bring it up on there, but let me pull it out real quick, that any daughter in good standing in their constituent court is eligible to vote and or be elected to a position on the desert. So yes. The reason I went back to who is eligible to vote, I went back to the rules for the Imperial Court, that the only persons that are eligible to vote in the Imperial Court are the illustrious commandress, first and second lieutenant commandresses, past commandresses, honorary past commandresses, and honorary past imperial commandresses. So, in clarification, I hope I'm not confusing you. Let us know that to be elected for a position on the desert, you must be eligible to vote as it states, in this Constitution that we are in the process of revising to make it clearer, because there seems to be some misconception about what that means. When it says that any daughter that is in good standing in the constituent courts and they're eligible to vote and eligible to run for a position on the desert, that is not clear information. Let me reflect back to some of you that may have been involved in daughters for a lot of years. Years back, I can remember when we went to a desert planning meeting, a desert auxiliary, we always divided the room. We divided the room with the sitting commandress, the first and second lieutenant commandress, past commandresses, honorary past commandresses, and honorary past imperial commandresses. We did the same thing for the nobility. Why? Because when a vote came to the floor, those persons were the only ones that were eligible to vote. Think about it. When we're in the imperial session, we have our illustrious commandresses seated in a particular area. We have the first and second lieutenant seated in a particular area. We have the deputies for the oasis and the deputies for the desert. When we go to the polls to vote in imperial session, who has a vote? The only ones that get the credentials and the dots are sitting commandresses, first and second lieutenant commandresses, past commandresses, honorary past commandresses, and honorary past imperial commandresses. So I wanted to come on tonight to make sure that we are clear that, one, we do not conduct elections for desert at a planning meeting. We could conduct elections for desert officers at gala days. Two, that the assumption that any daughter in the constituent court that is eligible to vote is eligible to run for a position. The clarity of that is, in order to be eligible to vote, well, let me back up. Because in the constituent court, any daughter is eligible to vote as long as they've been in there. But we cannot hold the same standard for constituent courts that we hold for imperial court for the desert and for the desert. So I'm hoping this clears up what I'm trying to say to you. We also said in Article 6, Section 1, it says, election of desert officers shall be by majority vote, 50% plus one. Any member eligible to vote is eligible to be nominated for election. That's been coming up. And that is a confusion right now, because any member eligible to vote, if you go back to where it says, where is it? I'm thinking where it said, any eligible officer, no, not that one. In order to be eligible for, no, I don't want that one either. Let me pull out my stuff. Let me pull it up. Okay. In eligibility, it says, any actual past illustrious commandress who's in good standing, and no, that's not the one I want either. Y'all confusing me. Okay, but anyway, note that in the desert bylaws, it says that any daughter that is in good standing in their constituent court is eligible to vote and eligible to be nominated for election. We are in the process of changing the desert guidelines. We are in the process of changing the Constitution and general laws. That information that was placed in there in the 2021 Constitution is not clear, and it has been misleading daughters to the point where they are confused, that they're thinking if they are in good standing in their court, that they can come and hold a position on the desert level.
Yes, ma'am.
But think about it. Somebody comes in your court 6 months ago. They're in good standing. You go to a desert conference meeting. They want to put their name in on the ballot for a position. Is that allowed? Are we gonna allow brand new members in our courts to hold desert positions?
Yeah, that's not fair. Mm-mm.
And they haven't even been in the court long enough to understand anything about the court, have not led in any leadership type position. So hopefully I didn't confuse you any more than you're already confused, but I'm gonna take a few questions and hopefully you're clear on what I'm trying to say. So, but the main thing I wanted to get across to you all is if there are any deserts that are having planning meetings this weekend with intentions of holding election for desert officers, that is not where we do that.
Yes, ma'am. I think we all receive the information. We gonna make sure that nobody doing no elections during desert planning. We gonna make sure we are doing it the right way. Yes, ma'am, Imperial Commandress.
Right.
So we don't have any questions, Imperial Commandress. Surprising, huh?
So hopefully they're clear.
They clear.
Okay.
Ain't no questions. So Imperial Commandress, I'm gonna blame my director on this one. You all the way over here, Imperial Commandress. Come to the middle. There you go. Come to the middle.
I'm moving.
All right. So, being that there's no questions at this time, Imperial Commandress, do you have anything else you want to discuss?
I nothing else to discuss right now. More to follow. And like I said, we are in the process of revising and updating our current Constitution and bylaws. I've spoken to the directors of the Constitution and General Laws Committee, and they're in the process of preparing that document so that it can go out to the daughters across the domain. So daughters will be able to read and review all that's in that 93, 94, 95 page document to see if there's anything that is not clear, that needs some clarification, so that we can get this Constitution up to standards and saying what it needs to say so that it'll be clear to everyone that's reading it, to know what the rules are and what the guidelines are. We know that Constitution came out in 2021. There was one that came out in 2017. We cannot pick and choose which documents we want to take out the Constitution to abide by. Some things we go back to the Constitution for, and we say, well, it says that in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. But other times, we don't care what the Constitution says. Mm-hmm. We just do what we want to do. Mm-hmm. So that's why I thought it was so critical for me to come on tonight, because I know a lot of deserts are planning desert planning meetings and wanted to make sure that was clear. So hopefully you are clear. If you have any questions, didn't put none on here. If you have anything that you want to address, daughter Girlie, you can let them know how they
I'm gonna tell them when the show's over. I got you, Imperial Commander. Okay. So we do actually have two questions. You want to tackle them, or you want them to send them to that what we talked about?
We'll take it. We'll take a.
Okay. So, all right. First question from daughter Alexis. What do we do if there are people that are already elected that are not eligible according to new guidelines?
Already elected for positions? Which new guidelines you talking about? Be more clear. I mean, there aren't any new guidelines. The election standards have already been set. I'm not sure what you're asking.
I think what she's saying, from what you're saying today, I guess there's somebody that may be already on the desert line that is not a past Commandress, honorary past, and already past Imperial Commandress. What should they do if they're currently on there?
Okay, so this is a new year. Mm-hmm. Everyone should be doing desert elections. No one has had a desert election yet. I hope not. This is just January.
Yes, ma'am.
So if they have not had an election yet, we need to be paying attention to the Constitution and bylaws according to what's in the Constitution. But guess what? I know everybody's having planning meetings. Mm-hmm. Has anyone had a gala day yet?
No,
I'm
I hope
sure
not.
I'm used to the first gala day coming up in February. I don't know. There may be others, but I don't know of any. So hopefully everybody is null and void right now until the new elections.
Yes, ma'am.
So if it was wrong before, then y'all chalk that up. But make sure we got the facts right when we do the new elections for deserts for this coming for 2024.
Okay. So, Imperial Commandress, we got two more, but let's let everybody know these are the last two. We're just taking these two, and then we're going to move on. So, the next question, Dr. Emma, will exceptions be made for those deserts that do not have enough eligible and willing daughters to serve?
What kind of there's no way that we can make exceptions to that, because if we make exceptions, then what are we going to do? Put daughters that are not past commandresses or sitting illustrious commanders. What exceptions do you make to that? And if you don't have enough eligible members and when you say daughters willing to serve, why are you coming to a desert conference, a desert gala day, a desert planning meeting as daughters, and you're not willing to serve your desert?
That's true. And
You're
the
not
last,
willing to serve.
yeah, you're right.
You should never have an issue with not enough members to serve on the desert.
You're right.
Y'all hope. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. All right, y'all. While we're waiting on the Imperial Commanders, listen, I know everybody's talking about it. It's all on Facebook, what's going on across the domain. Listen, registration is coming soon, okay? So make sure that you go into your member portal and log in with your email address and your password. This will make sure that the registration information comes to you directly, okay? Listen, I'm ready for New Orleans. I'm ready. So hope y'all ready too, because registration is coming soon. And get your flights too, because I heard they cheap. All right, Imperial Commanders.
I'm back. Thank you.
So you ready for the third question?
I'm ready.
All right. Dr. Kim, do we have any idea of the time frame for when the updated Constitution will be published?
Okay, we don't, what's going to happen? The Constitution and Bylaws Committee will send the Constitution and bylaws via email to every daughter in the domain so that you can have the opportunity to review it. They will give you a time frame to have your recommendations, your corrections, or whatever back to that committee. They will give you a time frame. Once you get that information back to them, the plan is that they will be able to compile it, get a copy that's ready. By the time we get to session in August, we are planning to have a updated, revised document where it will come to the floor of the Imperial Court, and the body will be afforded the opportunity to vote that Constitution up or down. That's the way it's supposed to have always been done. Now, when you're talking about daughters having the right to vote, that's where the daughters will have an opportunity to vote. Everyone in the Imperial session in that room during that session and meeting, when that Constitution comes to the floor, every daughter that is in the Imperial Court session at the time that the document is presented for approval will have an opportunity to vote. Whether you're a past commandress, you just a member for 10 days or whatever. Those are the kind of things that everybody that's attending the session will have the opportunity to vote on, because the Constitution itself is going to impact the entire body. So everyone will have a right to vote on that Constitution. So I'm asking the Constitution and Revisions Committee to get that document ready for me. And as soon as I know when it's coming out, I will come back to you all and let you know when it's coming out to give you heads up.
Okay, great. I can't wait. So, Imperial Commanders, a good question came up. I'm sorry. Do you have to be a past commanders or honorary past commanders to be an auditor? Elected auditor for the desert.
The Constitution tells you that wait a minute, go back, where's that Constitution? Because there's some positions that you don't have to be a past commanders, or you have to be a past commander to be elected in the desert. No, we're talking about an elected auditor. um you have to be a past commanders or honorary past commanders for an auditor. Okay, that I don't have my thing with me, but I'm
Okay.
almost certain for Imperial. Oh, you talking about for an auditor
Desert.
for the desert?
Yes, ma'am, for the desert.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I think you have to be. If we're saying that you have to be an honorary past commanders, but I'm not sure about that. Let me think about that because I'm not sure because for auditor position it might be something totally different. The
Okay.
people that have the expertise to do that, and
So,
they may not necessarily be an honorary past commanders
okay.
or past commanders. Let me see if I can pull that out real quick.
Or do
Let
you
me
want
see
me
how.
to give you her information so you can contact her?
Yeah, give me
Okay,
her
I'll do that.
information and I'll double check because I know there are some positions that you do not have to be past commanders or honorary past commanders to obtain those positions, and there's something about having the skill set or
Mm-hmm.
the expertise in it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that is the case for the desert auditors. But
Okay,
I will find out and get back to you.
got you. And I will make sure to give you her information.
I don't
So
know it all, y'all. I can't remember all this stuff on the top of my head.
we understand. We
Y'all,
understand.
give me a
So,
break.
so
Okay.
Imperial Commanders, final thoughts. What you want to talk about? Final
Just
thoughts.
y'all, please. Guess what? I'm trying to stay focused. I'm trying to make sure the daughters are clear on what it is they need to do. I'm trying to make sure that we can get this stuff together, y'all. We got to be patient with one another. We got to give each other time to make mistakes. We got to pull together and not be so much about fighting. I talked about infighting. I can't talk about that enough. That we are finding ourselves going in the wrong direction, having so much focus on things that are not important right now, rather than focusing on the fact that we are an organization together. We should be able to accomplish whatever we want to accomplish. We got to have unity, love, peace, understanding that we working together. Let's just work together. And you might know something that I don't know. I don't profess to know everything. I don't. But what I do know, I know. And so that's why I encourage you to ask your questions. I encourage you to read. I encourage you to be committed. And I don't and I get so tired of hearing daughters don't want to serve. Why are you here? Why are you in the organization if you don't want to serve? Why are you wasting your time to be a part of a volunteer organization where you have to pay money to be a part of and don't want to serve? What's the point? Why? I know I wouldn't pay my money to be a part of an organization that I have the option to because I'm volunteer and this is a volunteer organization. And if I don't want to be bothered with the people that are in the organization, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go. If they're not doing things that is pleasing to me, and like I talked to y'all before, anything that we're doing it to give God the glory. That's why we're doing this. And if you don't have a commitment to serve this organization, then why bother to come? If there's no commitment, you don't need to be here. Nobody is forcing anyone to be a part of this organization. There's no force, there's no mandate. It's volunteer. And if you understand what it means to volunteer, then you give it what you give it. If you don't want to give it, stay home.
All right, Imperial Commander. That's the message, because it's the truth. And that's one thing. You give it blood raw. You tell it like it is. So, Imperial Commanders, like we mentioned earlier, if anyone has any questions, there will be a link coming soon to everyone. Check in the app. There's going to be a link. Now, one thing about this link is a limit of questions that will get to the Imperial Commander. So make sure that you hurry up and hit that link when you have that question in mind. Imperial Commanders, I had another ball with you. We're just having a good time, ain't we?
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. You know, I know it was a last minute. I called y'all and they were Johnny on the spot. And I appreciate the Imperial Media Relations Department for their patience, for their love, and for their commitment to make sure that I can get to you all when I need to get to y'all.
Yes.
So thank you. I love you. I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Enjoy desert planning.
All righty. Thank you.
See you guys later.
Walk her down the valley, pack a piece of heaven for the bottoms of her feet. Teach her how to jump and how to stretch when she reach, like the angels do, and you gon' make it through now. Tell about the healer, greater is the one within, and call him as the leader. Teach her how to hold a pretty hand up to the sky, and never wait upon the giver, he'll deliver like a dealer.